Hello, everybody. This is Buddy Webb here in Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a video here today, go over some stuff that I've talked about before, but uh, might have got lost in just the huge amount of evidence that we have out there. And I want to talk about the day of the murder attempt, okay, and kind of explain to you what's going on and some things that happened. And really, the core of this is who is the shooter. That is the $1 million question. We all want to know that. Who broke into my home, pointed their gun at me, and pulled the trigger, right? I mean, that person impacted my life. I'm now crippled for the rest of my life, lost my career, devastating, and I've lived under the threat of death every day since. And while that, who knows how many people that person has killed, to this day, they've never been arrested. And what we know for a fact, because the evidence shows us, not because Buddy said, it's not Buddy's assessment. The evidence is 100% clear. I wasn't shot with my gun. That means somebody came to my home and shot me. I was home minding my own business, and they went out of their way, loaded their gun, put their bullets in it, drove from their home to my home, come to my home, and tried to kill me. That's all there is to it. I don't know how many people said, "Oh, they shot you in the foot." Well, why would anybody want to kill you shooting in the foot? Well, the reason they want to do that is because they want to make it look like an accident. That's why. But what I always come back and say is, are you trying to say that they loaded their gun, drove from their house to my house, sneaked in, right? Shot me by surprise, cut my phone lines, listened to me scream for help, and they're just trying to wound me? I mean, what are you trying to say? Of course they wanted me to die. That was the plan. They didn't pull that trigger thinking, oh, we're just going to wound him. And, no, they planned on me bleeding out and dying. Why didn't I get shot twice? Because they want to make it look like an accident. An accident added $500,000 to life insurance benefit. Anyway, let's get back to talking about the day of the murder attempt. January 28, 2012, very cold day. I had reported my first burglary 14 months before. That was in November 2010. My second call for a burglary was in January 2011. That time I heard somebody in the attic of my home. And of course, now here we are all these years later in 2020. I've documented homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and multiple other states reporting people in the attic. I mean, this is going on. That's odd, but somebody come up with this idea, and they're rigging private homes, burglary, theft, and murder. I suspect it's connected to human trafficking, sex trafficking, organized crime, and of course, significant police corruption, public corruption. Okay. So, anyways, I go to the grocery store. I come home, and I come in my front door. Okay. The reason I come to the front door is because all my other doors were secured. I had my garage door screwed to the wall. You couldn't even open the garage door. I couldn't even get in my garage door, because I'm trying to figure out how they're getting in my house. Because I knew they were coming in my home, but I couldn't catch them on camera, and that was before I proved they were hacking the cameras, okay? And so I'm trying to figure out, how they're coming in my home, and so I'm securing all the doors and windows, screwed all the windows together, so they couldn't open. I couldn't even get out my window, You gotta have a screwdriver to take the screws out to get the windows open. And all my other doors are secured. Only door I can come in. And as soon as I walk in the door, I look over and I see a cushion out of place, and I know I'm one of these people that neat and tidy. I know that somebody been in my house. Once again, I've been reporting burglaries to my home for over a year, and at this time. And that's when I get the idea to tie wire my door shut, and by that time, I had just separated from the ex-wife a few weeks earlier, and she had told me there was a trap door in this house, but I didn't know where it was at. She'd also told me there was micro cameras here, and I figured out by that time it was more than one person. So I was up against a gang of criminals, and this idea is like, let me compartmentalize. I got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and I'm here by myself. I'm a homeowner, and so if I want to tie wire my door shut, I can, right? And so I only need 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and so I could tie wire the other one shut, and that's what I did. I spent a couple hours going through there, and got just regular tie wire like for a fence, and physically secured these doors. What I didn't know was there was a burglar in the house. Remember, I come in and I recognized a burglar in the house, and what I didn't know is I trapped a burglar in that guest bathroom. Okay, And I'm going to take you back there, and I'm going to show you that. We're going to walk back there, and I'm going to show you that after I get out of the hospital 10 days later, the evidence I found that showed me that a burglar was trapped, and so that's really important to know that before I'm shot, I trapped one of these criminals that I had been reporting. So here I've been reporting burglaries to the police, and then I'm shot during a burglary. Okay, and now, I mean, I think it's real clear that it's not all police, but these police are corrupt, and they're working with the burglars. That's why they never arrested the burglars. Okay, and it's more than my house. It's going on at many other homes, and like I said, these corrupt police have been working with this organized crime burglar ring, right? And of course, you try to stop them, then you get killed, and I figured that's what they did to the last homeowner, Michael Hahn. They killed him, maybe same scenario, he tried to stop them, and so they killed him, and corrupt police covered it up, etc. Maybe police killed him, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to look at that bathroom where I trapped that burglar, and I think you'll find this real interesting. All right, we're going down the hallway now. And I'm going to show you how this looks like. That directly ahead is the guest bathroom, okay? And to my left is my bedroom, okay? And then, but when I turn this corner here, what you're going to see is 3 doors, okay? And the one right ahead is a small closet. This one is a bedroom full of garage sale stuff, or estate sale stuff, and this one's a bedroom too, and it's also full of estate sale stuff, and because that's my hobby, what I do. And so I got 2 bedrooms, a closet, and this is the guest bathroom. So I took tie wire, and I tie wired from the door from here to there to there to here. I tie wired all these doors shut right here, okay? And so you open this door, it pulled on the wire, and you couldn't open any of the doors up because it's physically shut. What I didn't know is a burglar was trapped in the guest bathroom here. They were probably behind that, where the toilet area is over there, hiding back there, and I never would go back there, and I didn't know it, They were in my house right here while I'm tying the door shut. And when I come back home, what I find is that this door is torn off the wall, okay? The hinge is right here and off here. And, well, that didn't make any sense at all, because I'm thinking, well, the police come in and they see the tie wire and they take the tie wire off, or they cut the tie wire, whatever, to open the door, but they don't have to tear the door off, the hinge. Why is the hinge tore off? That's one thing I found. And then I come in the bathroom here, and I'm going to show you at the top of the door jamb, see them pry marks, that sharp marks right there? And it was real clear to me somebody had probably a pocket knife, and they're trying to pry right there. And so that's what led me to believe. Well, I painted this whole home, when I got here, the entire thing, ceilings, everything. And I mean, it wasn't that like that when I shot, but I returned from the hospital 10 days later. It's like that. That's how I know I trapped a burglar in this bathroom right here. And so at that point, then, that makes a dire situation for the criminals, right? Here they've got micro cameras, $1 million underground facilities. They got corrupt police. They got the press helping to murder people. I mean, this is a killing machine. They're breaking into homes all over the country. And probably human trafficking, sex trafficking, murdering little girls that won't prostitute, the whole deal. And then all of a sudden, a piece of tie wire traps one of these burglars in here. If the police come in there and arrest him, or arrest her, or whoever's trapped in this room, then it's going to expose their tunnels and their underground homes and their oil show parties and their forced prostitution and all the corrupt police and all the other homes that are rigged. I mean, it puts them in a bind. You can see that. They're like, oh, they're in a bind. And the other side of it is, I'm on the other side of the door with a gun and have a right to protect my life and property like any other homeowner, right? And of course, I had been calling the police, reporting burglaries, expecting police to arrest these criminals so I can live in peace. I've wanted that for ever since I moved here. The corruption is just off the charts. I mean, there is probably no, and I would say, I said it the other day, what has gone on here in Midland's probably the biggest case of police corruption in the history of the state of Texas. That's what I'd say. I mean, I think you'd agree with that, right? And so, anyways, I think then at that time, well, that's when they come up with a plan to murder me. At that, because this burglar's trapped in here. Okay, and so I'm gonna show you something here. We're gonna go in the computer, but something I found from a police officer and some other things people said that's led me to believe. Because remember, the big question is who's the shooter. Okay, I'm back at my computer here, and what I have on the screen here, what I'm trying to show you is an emergency detention form for the hospital. It is filled out by Officer April Chandler, Midland Memorial Hospital, and you can see the timestamp was at 11:03 at the address is on 4400 Wadley. Apprehended. I was apprehended at 11:03 at 4400 Wadley, which wasn't the case. I mean, that I was at the 7-Eleven after I'd been shot, and that's what it was. And Chandler writes, Mr. Webb showed paranoia to the extent and she started to write SHO, shot. She started to write that I shot myself, but she scribbled it out. And I think the reason she scribbled that out is because she knew that was a blatant, bold-faced lie, and the evidence shows I didn't shoot myself, right? So she scribbled out, what she started to write, that I shot myself, and she changed her wording to say, Mr. Webb showed paranoia to the extent he caused himself to suffer a gunshot wound to the ankle. Okay, so she was saying that I'm home minding my own business under a burglary, and somehow I caused these criminals to come to my home, break into my home, and try to murder me. That's what she said, and I've compared this to Charles Manson, right? And I think you can see that comparison. Sharon Tate was home and minding her own business. Charles Manson and his gang, goes to her house and murders her. Sharon Tate, due to her paranoia, caused Charles Manson and his gang to murder her. It was Sharon Tate's fault. They broke into her home and murdered her. Do you see how absurd and criminal that statement is? Do you see how criminal this statement is from Officer Chandler? Now, keep in mind, absolute definitive evidence shows I wasn't shot with my gun. And then, like I said, she changed her wording there. She knew I wasn't shot with my gun. She was blaming me. Why was she blaming me? I think it's because there was a burglar trapped in the bathroom. Okay, I tie-wired the door shut. That's what she meant by how did I cause it? I tie-wired my doors shut. Okay, and keep in mind, I'm home minding my own business under a burglary. Here's another screenshot I took for a conversation, a guy out of Lovington, New Mexico named Shannon Jeter. Okay. And I think Shannon has information about the crimes here. Police might want to talk to him. But I want to read this to you real quick. It's real short. It's very, very interesting, and I think important. Okay, Shannon's telling me, he says, I hear you. Be careful. Cops kill people every day and get away with it. That all they got to do is say they feared for their life, and that's all it takes. They can kill you and get away with it, all in capitals. So be careful. Don't make them mad. Sell them the house. Hell, they'll probably give you a lot of money for it just to get you to stop publicizing their business. Then you go buy you another home and be left alone. Maybe. Okay, a couple things there. He's insinuating that it was cops that tried to kill me. And he's also saying the answer is give them property because they're killing people to steal property. Is that how y'all read it? That's how I read it, right? And maybe the cops won't kill you, as in cold-blooded murder, they get the death penalty for it type stuff, okay? Stop publicizing their business? What was their business? Is it pimping out little girls and murdering them? Is that their business? Human trafficking, burglary, theft, murder, rigging private homes? What? We need to find out what their business is. Okay, so as I said, I think Shannon Jeter, somebody needs to talk to him. Okay, well, good luck finding a DA to file any charges, and I have contacted the Midland DA Nodoff multiple times, and sadly, I think he's right, and any charges on a cop or public officials if it just doesn't happen, especially if it's Chapo's multi-billion-dollar underground tunnels.
Wouldn't you think if police won't do nothing for you but cover up your attempt on your life, that bigger people than you can perceive won't let you pull their blanket to see them caught with their pants down? Like I said, play with fire, you're gonna get burnt. It's hot in hell, they say. They gonna get tormented like you have been now. Keep your doors locked and tie wires. It will slow them down. Okay, notice that Sharon made a big, that's the reason I read y'all this. Shannon made a big deal about that tie wire. And that's what I was telling you, because that's the same thing I believe that April Chandler, who I don't know if she could tell the truth, I mean, we're talking about somebody that just lies and that has no business being a police officer and maybe should end up in prison, literally, I mean, trying to cover up a capital attempted murder, caught red-handed. And so here I want to show you, this is this video, okay? And here, let me even back up here. On YouTube, I got this comment within the last 17 hours ago. And I took it, copy and pasted it over to Facebook, okay? And a guy named Ricardo Diaz. Of course, I did a Facebook search and I found a Ricardo Diaz, and I suspect that's who it is, here, and y'all can too. Just go search Facebook and you'll find the guy in Midland, Ricardo Diaz. There's him and his son. It's probably his son that wrote that. Why did you tell the doctors it was teenagers who shot you? And I thought that was an odd question, it's like, well, I didn't, but interesting he said that, I thought. So, that's really the whole reason I made this video. I said, Ricardo, I didn't see the shooter because they were below my home, so I don't know who shot me, and I never said that. That is the million-dollar question, which hasn't been answered yet, but that person is looking at a lot of prison time. The evidence is clear that I didn't shoot myself, and that makes me the victim of a capital attempted murder. The neighbors' sons were mentioned as I saw their cars parked in front of my home before I was shot. That was the neighbor who had the suspected tunnel entrance in the backyard that was taken out around the same time as the live tree was removed next to the two side-by-side manholes over by Home Depot, which was another suspected tunnel entrance. Here's a video showing those tunnel entrances, and that video name's Tunnel Entrance. It's on my YouTube channel. Of course, I know a lot more now than I did a few minutes after I'd been ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. And that's what he was referencing, what I said minutes after I shot. And my top suspects for the shooter are some police officers. Last year, I found out there was a police report for the night which had been hidden from me for 7 years, and it showed me that 5 police officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hell, were at or in my home when they were not seen arriving on the security camera. My front cameras had recorded me crawling out because they cut my phone lines, and it saw Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and late Midland County Deputy Mike Naylor arrive. This is what told me those police officers were below my home, and they came in the now removed trap door that the ex-wife had told me about and I had been shot from. I have a video showing evidence of this. I've been sending evidence to our new Sheriff Kreiner and the Texas Rangers, and hopefully we'll see arrests soon. That or they're just covering up multiple murders, And this video has a little timeline that I put in there when the suspected tunnel entrance was put in. I'm going to show you that here in a minute when it was taken out. And some of the other things is going. Michael Hahn dies in October 08. I'm ambushed and shot in January 2012. There's an Odessa doctor in June 2014 that is killed in a murder-suicide over in Odessa. Gattiselli's his name. Mystery Underground Suddenlink cables removed. That was in September 2014. Secret Police and Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor dies. Okay, that's in October 2014. December 2014, Secret Police Midland K9 Police Officer Chad Simpson dies. And then the next year on June 15, Dr. Gattiselli is murdered in Odessa. Actually, that first one is suspected Gattiselli was seen across the street or at the next door neighbor's house where the underground tunnels are at. Suspected tunnel entrance. So anyways, and then there's other things that happened at the same time. All the News West 9 records got accidentally deleted, and all the records for the underground facilities in Midland, Texas got accidentally deleted all around that 2014-2015 time period when the trees being taken out and everything else, And so anyway, there's the timeline, and so anyway, I put this on here because that's where it got me to who was the shooter. Okay, because he's saying, "Why did you say teenagers shot you?" Well, I never said teenagers shot me, but I actually I did mention that their cars were out in front of my house before I was shot. I told the detective that. Okay, so here I did this write-up for this video. Who's the shooter? That's the million-dollar question, which has never been answered, but the evidence definitely shows I wasn't shot with my gun. It means somebody under my home shot me. We can also be sure of tunnels and underground homes here, with multiple people documented saying that, including Joe Lozano, a recent candidate for sheriff. Okay, obviously, there was only one shooter, but we know that person wasn't alone, as I had burglar alarms going off in my attic, too. The ex-wife had told me in so many words that a lot of people were here when I shot, which obviously meant in the underground home in the backyard. It's unknown how many of them were involved in this capital murder attempt, but that question must be answered, too. Based on the evidence that has been found, this is my short list of suspects for the shooter. Okay. John Woodward. The first person seen arriving in my home was former Martin County Sheriff, and this is Midland County. That's never been answered why, okay? Wasn't dispatched, his name wasn't on the report. 19 minutes, I'm just going to read it to you. He wasn't identified until 2018, even though he had been seen on camera 19 minutes after I crawled out. He recently pled guilty to aggravated assault on another person and is now a felon. He got a Santa Marta Saint of Death tattoo, which is used by gang members and cults. That was in the paper, that made the news. And he got that death tattoo, cult death tattoo, when he was sheriff. Okay. Mike Naylor, the second person seen arriving, he was following Woodward, okay, when he showed up. He was killed in the line of duty on October 9, 2014, which was before he was identified as one of the secret police by Empire Private Investigations in 2018. And interestingly, he was killed with a stolen gun, and so some people wondered if, that wasn't a assassination and that other guy was blamed for it, and he had no choice but to plead guilty. He's going to get the death penalty. Tony Dickey, okay, he was a Midland Police Department lieutenant, okay. He was listed on the long withheld police report as being inside my home at 11:05 p.m., but he wasn't seen on the cameras that had seen Woodward and Dickey in front of my home at 11:03 p.m., okay. 2 minutes later, and Dickey isn't seen, okay. It's suspected that he let out the trapped burglar from the guest bathroom who had gotten trapped when I tie-wired my doors earlier this day, and I showed y'all that, okay? And so, because Dickey was in my house at 11:05, and actually Woodward and I've got that wrong because that's Naylor. Woodward and Naylor were in front of my home at 11:01. I just need to fix that to make sure that's right. Woodward and Naylor in front of my home at 11:01, and Dickey's inside my home at 11:05. It's believed that Dickey's the one that undid the tie wire and let the burglar out of that guest bathroom. Okay, and that was probably where Chandler was saying he caused himself, blaming me for these killers breaking in my home with guns to murder me. Okay, during a burglary, is done during the commission of a felony, which was burglary of a habitation. Matt Davis, okay, he was the first person listed as being at my home on the police report. Him and Dickey come together, but he wasn't seen arriving either, okay. It's believed that he was the one who stole my voice recorder after I told Detective Rodriguez at the hospital about this proof being at my home. A voice recorder had recorded the burglar alarms going off in the attic, okay, proved I was shot during a home invasion. And then he hand wrote it in the voice recorder on the evidence logs a year and a half later, after I made a point of the police stealing evidence that I told them about to cover up a failed murder. Okay, I mean, that's how you can't get any more dirty in what's going on. And then he quits. This is Matt Davis, mysteriously quits the police department right after protective order hearing in December 2013. That's when it's suspected that he hand wrote in the stolen evidence. And you're going to see in a minute, the voice recorder was found by Chandler, and I believe Chandler might have gave that voice recorder to Matt Davis, and he stole it. So they were working together, Chandler and Davis, stealing evidence to cover up a home invasion murder attempt. Rosie Rodriguez climbed in my truck at the 7-Eleven minutes after I shot and said that she wasn't there on the police report. She was seen on the bedroom, and that's That's a fact. She was seen on the bedroom camera leaned over my nightstand where my stolen cell phone had been planted. They had stole my cell phone and cut my home phone lines before shooting me. Okay. When I get back from the hospital, my phone's back working and my stolen cell phone's planted behind my nightstand, and I find a picture of Rosie leaned over the nightstand. Okay. She testified under oath that I was delusional, along with her lifelong friend from grade school, my ex-wife, that is alleged by her boyfriend to be involved in the shooting, and actually recently said that he overheard her planning my murder with corrupt police to steal my life insurance. I've got a print screen of that. Caught several times lying on the police report, this is Rodriguez, such as saying that I told her the battery was down on my cordless phone, when the truth was it was fully charged as it said on the charger all the time. She made that up, and that was excuse making. The only reason I had it was because my cell phone was stolen before I shot, and it looks like Rosie planted it behind my nightstand. I'm going to show you a picture of that in a minute. Okay. And so these are just possible suspects for the shooter. That's what we're looking at. And then we're looking at some facts, that we found at their involvement in this premeditated capital attempted murder during a home invasion. April Chandler, she confirmed Rodriguez's lies about the 7-Eleven and said it was her that climbed in my truck. One's a blonde and one's Hispanic. I know who climbed in my truck. They both lied. She also stated she found my voice recorder and checked it in evidence, but it wasn't on the evidence logs for a year and a half. That was another lie by Chandler. Provable lie. The voice recorder was later hand wrote in on the evidence logs by Matt Davis a year and a half later because I made a point of it being stolen by the police. Proof that I had told them about. They came to my home and stole. Chandler's the one that found it, lied, and said she checked it into evidence. I got a feeling she gave it to Davis thinking it was going to get checked in and he stole it. I don't know that, but Chandler needs to be asked that because she lied. She made a permanent entry on the police computer system stating I was a paranoid schizophrenic when I wasn't diagnosed with this horrific disease, nor do I have it. That was a life-destroying lie that follows me around to this day. And the truth was, I was cleared by mental health at the hospital because of these lies, and these lies were being told to cover up this home invasion murder attempt. I was the survivor of a home invasion and murder attempt without a doubt. So they're either saying I'm crazy and I'm the victim of a capital attempted murder, and that's ludicrous. They made that lie, them life-destroying lies up to cover up this home invasion murder attempt. She stated on a hospital detention form, I caused myself to suffer a gunshot wound. And remember what I said earlier, that's like Sharon Tate saying Charles Manson and his gang, she caused Charles Manson and his gang to go break in her house and kill her. No, that didn't happen. No, it didn't happen here. I was home. I was actually calling the police and reporting crime like a good citizen should. Not knowing police were involved in burglary, theft, and murder. Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano was secretly recorded as saying that Painter used to hang out in the underground homes here, and the late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor worked for him. Okay, and that's a YouTube video called Painter's Hideout. Naylor was the second person seen arriving at my home. I had sent Painter and 27 evidence-filled emails about the crimes here, which he ignored. He died last year, and some people have said with mystery. One person told me that he was found in his backyard around 2 o'clock. I don't know, no confirmation on that, but there's more mystery on Painter dying. So there's another possible suspect short list for the shooter, because that's what we're trying to get at, right? We're trying to find out who the shooter. Okay. Here is information about the first guy that showed up, okay? And that was John Woodward, the Martin County Sheriff Deputy. He's the number one on the list. I was at an estate sale yesterday. I posted this recently. And the guy who I suspected was a cop, since he had an attitude, I made some comments about John Woodward. He told me that he was a good guy when he wasn't drinking, and he said this twice. It made me wonder if Woodward was the shooter and he was the second, and he was the first person arriving. Okay, so that's where I'm suspecting maybe Woodward was the shooter, and he's the first person seen arriving. I did research on him, found his family owns a big ranch, have a lot of mineral rights. This guy had told me that Woodward was very rich, but he can't touch his own money because of the courts and the crimes. Okay. Anyway, while Googling his name, I saw the story of him getting drunk with the inmate in the Stanton paper, and they said that the person that turned him in was either this deputy named Ashley or Chance Rayner, and that's what this post was about. It was John Woodward, Chance Rayner, and the reason is because Chance Rayner is a Midland police officer that's been in the news recently, and he is right now in federal custody, and I'm wondering if he's in federal custody because of the crimes at this house. Okay. So here's the Martin County Messenger, and I copied and pasted that, and we're just going to go look at that. I think I got it here on the screen. This is what I posted right here. Okay, this is December 4, 2014. This is the first guy that showed up, minutes after I'm ambushed and shot, and he's a sheriff from different county. He's the one that's got the Saint of Death tattoo, with that the cults and the drug dealers have. Okay, he got that while he was a sheriff. And this is the section here that I highlighted. The charges from 2013 were not unknown, and the rumor mill in Martin County has generated plenty of tales that supposedly involve the sheriff drinking with an inmate while in the Martin County jail. That inmate, who was named in the Odessa story, was allegedly given Woodward a tattoo during the drinking episode. That's that Saint of Death tattoo I was talking about. The source for the March 2013 incident was listed by the Odessa American as former deputy sheriff. That would be Ashley Borgstead or Chance Rayner. Rayner now works with law enforcement in Midland. And so that, I'd seen Rayner, actually Rayner's wife, had slandered me on Facebook. I took print screens of it because that's a crime to harass the victim of a capital attempted murder, and that's what she was doing, was spreading lies. And that's what's happened is many people have spread lies to try to cover up this home invasion murder attempt. And it's more than just trying to murder me and crippling me for life and destroying my life. It's to believe they murdered the guy that lived here before me, and let a girl at an also party. Who knows how many others. This was from a bedroom camera, that security camera. They had tried to disable it, the secret police, and I had the pictures. It took 6 years to get them identified. This is one of the pictures, okay? And in this picture, this is, I can tell by wearing the clothes and other pictures, that's Rosie Rodriguez, and she's leaned over my nightstand. That's where my stolen cell phone was planted. It was stolen before I was ambushed and shot, okay? And it was found planted behind this nightstand, and I believe that's what she's doing. And she's standing there with April Chandler, okay? So them two look like partners in crime for sure. And then Rodriguez makes up the lie saying Buddy said his battery was dead on his phone. Buddy never said that. Rosie Rodriguez made up that lie because I think she knew they stole my phone. And the reason I crawled out was because my home phone line was cut and my cell phone had been stolen. And it looks like Rosie Rodriguez and April Chandler waited for the rest of the police to leave my room based on the timestamp. All them other police are gone, and she leans back over there and plants my stolen phone where I'll find it when I return from the hospital. Okay. And very important, the nurse's notes, okay? Because the nurse's notes tell what I was saying, but it was totally different what Rodriguez. Of course, Rodriguez didn't know the nurse was documenting what I was saying, and that messed her up. Because then it was going to be, my word against how many ever police officers she gets together to lie for, right? That's how it works. One lie, the other swear to it. And literally, that's what goes on. And so here, timestamp documentation from the emergency room. That's Kiera Cresswell. 11:27. I'd been crawling out at 10:42. Okay, and I'm saying the neighbors are breaking into my house. There are sirens going off. Okay, I have tire wire around my cabinets and closet. There's a voice recorder, records what's happening. The alarms kept going off. Okay, so I'm shot during a home invasion. Rose Rodriguez says Buddy said he was locking up for the night and going to bed, knocked his gun over, shot himself. She literally wrote that, made that up. What she didn't know is the emergency room nurse documented what I was saying. No, Buddy wasn't going to bed for the night. Buddy was under home invasion with burglar alarms going off. And then I tell her, there's about the voice recorder. I have proof. Just go look. There's proof. And because the voice recorder recorded the burglar alarm that's going off. proven that I was shot during the burglary, And then that last piece where she gave my necklace to my brother, and that made me wonder if Detective Rodriguez knew my brother, okay? And so what happened was, after I tell Rodriguez that proof's at my house, they go to my house. Chandler finds the proof, says she checked in evidence, but she lied because it wasn't. And then it didn't get checked into a year and a half later after I made a point of them still in the evidence. And then it was hand wrote in. Okay. If you download Google Earth, okay, and I encourage you to, it's a free download, and just put in my address, 3802 Fair Circle. There's a button up there you can go historical pictures, and gives you timestamp pictures, okay, and that's what I'm looking here, and I've took 4 of them, okay. This one is in 2008, and I'm looking in the neighbor's backyard, and I've got an arrow pointing, and nothing's there. Okay, but in December 2009, you can see that white in the backyard. That's a suspected tunnel entrance. So sometime between then and then, that suspected tunnel entrance got put in the backyard. Now keep in mind, it looks like right now this is where one of the 3-bedroom underground homes is located right there. Okay, and so here's another flyby, and this one is 2014, I think. These are grainy pictures. I got better ones, but it's still there. That's the point I want to make in 2014. And then here in 2016, it's gone. So they took it out. Do you see that? How it's gone? And at the same time, a live tree is removed right here. And see where the tree was there? And now it's gone. So they took out that tree, and they took out that, and that the other suspected tunnel entrance was there. I mentioned that earlier because they were talking about the neighbor's kids, and that was the home of the neighbor's kids, was where the suspected tunnel entrance was right there. Okay, and then at the bottom here is from the police report from Rosie Rodriguez again, and it says, I contacted and spoke with Buddy Webb, his neighbor. I informed them about the incident. I told them that he suspects their teenage sons were digging tunnels from their home to his and stealing his belongings. And I never said that. That's ridiculous. I was informed that his older teenage son parked his vehicle on his property next to Buddy Webb's residence. In the morning, the tires were slashed. I was told his son began to park on the other side, and his tires were no longer slashed. They believe it was Buddy. Well, I seriously doubt anybody's tires were slashed, and it sure wasn't me. I never slashed a tire in my life. I didn't even find this out till 2 years later, and more than that, I had cameras on the front of my house, okay? And the only thing I did say was that them teenagers' cars were parked in front of my home before I shot, okay? And so all this was made up, and you have to ask why, okay? And especially why with the people that have the suspected tunnel entrance in the backyard, okay? I'm going to give you a close-up. This is where I zoomed in on it, okay? And you couldn't see, here's some plywood leaned up against that wall. It's been there for about 8 years. And from the ground in my backyard, you couldn't see that. And at night, I would see flashlights around here in the middle of the night, hear people talking and everything. And at the same time, I'm having burglars, in my attic and breaking my house, etc. And so I fully believe that this was a tunnel entrance. It's probably connected over to the underground home right here, which ends up going into my home, okay? And then here, just more Google pictures, and they're showing that the tree was present, okay? And here, what's interesting about this one, this shows you right after it was removed because the grass hadn't grown back yet. You see that? Okay, and then you see the trees removed there, okay? So I'll show you that. So, really a lot of that all started basically when I get that YouTube comment of why are you saying teenagers shot you? Well, I didn't say teenagers shot me. I don't know who shot me, but there we got a short list of suspects, and all we know is out there right now is a very dangerous criminal that breaks into homes and shoots unsuspecting homeowners. They're a danger to you and your family, and they need to be arrested and held accountable for their crimes. This is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.